You call yourself lazy. You have said it to yourself more times than you can count. On Sunday nights, when the week ahead feels like a fresh start you're about to waste, on Monday mornings, when the alarm goes off and you reach for the scroll instead of the plan, in the mirror, at midnight, when you count up the things you intended to do and stack them against the things you actually did, lazy, the word you use when the gap between who you want to be and who you are feels too large to explain any other way. And here is the part that doesn't make sense. You also have a 5-year plan, a vision board maybe, a notebook full of ideas, or a folder on your phone, or a running list in your head of all the things you are going to do. Someday, when you finally get yourself together, you think about your future constantly. You rehearse the version of yourself who has already done the thing. You can see it clearly. The apartment, the body, the job, the quiet confidence. You have built that life in your mind 1,000 times. So, you are either lazy, fundamentally, characterologically unwilling to work, or you are not, and the evidence says you are not, because lazy people do not spend years constructing elaborate futures they have no intention of building. Lazy people do not feel the ache of the gap. They do not lose sleep over it. You are not lazy. You are something else entirely. You know the pattern. Sunday evening, you plan the week with unusual clarity. You see exactly what needs to happen. You feel something close to certainty, not motivation exactly, but the calm knowledge that this time you will do it. You will start the thing. You will make the call. You will write the first page, send the first email, take the first step. Monday morning arrives, the alarm sounds, and something shifts. Not dramatically, nothing obvious, just a small, quiet recalibration. The thing you planned to do, the thing that felt so clear 12 hours ago, now feels heavier, not impossible, just not now, not yet. You need to prepare first. You need to feel ready. You need to check one thing, scroll one more time, finish one small task that will somehow make the big task possible. By Tuesday, the plan has softened. By Wednesday, you're already negotiating with yourself about next week. And by Friday, you're back where you started, looking at the same unopened document, the same unmade call, the same untouched goal, and calling yourself lazy again with a voice that sounds more and more like truth each time you use it. But here is what you have never been told. Your brain is not broken. Your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. It is prioritizing a reward system that you did not choose and that most people do not know exists. Researchers at a New York university spent 20 years studying this, and what they found contradicts almost everything you have been told about motivation. They discovered that when you vividly imagine a desired outcome, when you picture the promotion, the finished project, the life you want, your brain registers that imagery as a partial success. Not metaphorically, neurologically, your blood pressure drops, your reported energy decreases. You feel, in a measurable sense, as though you have already accomplished something. The brain, running on emotional signals, cannot fully distinguish between fantasy and reality. So the vision board gives you the dopamine of completion. The detailed plan gives you the satisfaction of progress. The imaginary future gives you the feeling of having already arrived. And once your brain has cashed that reward, the urgency to actually act, to do the difficult, uncertain, step-by-step work of building the thing, diminishes. Not because you are lazy, because you are already full. Psychologists call this fantasy realization. And the counterintuitive finding is that positive visualization, the thing every self-help book has told you to do, can actually reduce the likelihood that you will achieve the goal. The ambition is not fake. The dopamine is just coming from the wrong place. There is a second mechanism, and it is just as important. A psychologist at a Canadian university calls it the effort paradox. Effort is simultaneously the thing we avoid and the thing that gives life meaning. But here is the trap that almost nobody names. Your brain hates the anticipation of effort more than the effort itself. The moment before you start is almost always worse than the starting. The imagined difficulty of the task, The uncertainty, the risk of not doing it well, the gap between where you are and where you want to be, triggers a genuine aversion response in your nervous system. Your body reads the anticipation of effort as a threat, and your brain, being an efficient system, chooses the path of least resistance. The scroll, the snack, the nap, the thing that requires no effort and delivers a small, predictable reward right now. This is not a moral failing. This is a neurobiological curve. Behavioral economists have measured it for decades. Your brain systematically discounts the value of future rewards relative to immediate ones. The further away the payoff, the less your brain can simulate it as real. The bigger your ambition, the more invisible the reward becomes. So your nervous system chooses what is available now, not because it is better, but because it is here. A psychiatrist who studies procrastination through a neurobiological lens puts it this way: the dopamine signal that initiates action arrives after task completion, not at the onset. The brain has an internal reward stopwatch. When a task is vague or distant, the brain withholds dopamine entirely, and in a world engineered to deliver micro-rewards, notifications, likes, scrolling, instant messages, the slow, effortful reward of meaningful work cannot compete. Your brain is not failing at character. It is succeeding at self-protection. Here is the third thing, and it is the one that matters most. Psychologists at an American university have developed an intervention that outperforms positive visualization, goal setting, and willpower combined. They call it mental contrasting, and it works like this. You still imagine the desired outcome. You still picture the success, the feeling, the life. But then, crucially, you do not stop there. You deliberately imagine the obstacles that stand between you and that outcome. Not external obstacles, not "I don't have time" or "the market is difficult." Internal ones, the feeling that overwhelms you when you start, the fear of not being good enough, the habit of reaching for the scroll. By holding the desired future and the present obstacle in your mind simultaneously, you create something that pure fantasy never produces: productive tension. Your brain registers the gap as real, and that gap, that specific, named internal obstacle, becomes the target. The researchers combine this with something called implementation intentions, not vague goals, if-then plans. If I feel overwhelmed when I open the document, then I will write one sentence and close it. If I reach for the phone, then I will put it in another room. The studies found that this combination, mental contrasting plus implementation intentions, improved academic performance, health behaviors, and career outcomes across multiple domains. Not because the participants wanted it more, because they stopped getting the reward from the fantasy and started getting it from the first step. You do not need more ambition. You have enough ambition. You have enough vision. What you need is to stop letting your brain cash the reward check before the work is done. The notebook full of ideas is not evidence of failure. It is evidence of a nervous system that processes possibility more vividly than it processes process. The Sunday night planning is not a lie. It is a genuine expression of what you want. The problem is not the wanting. The problem is that the wanting has become its own reward. You are not lazy. You are a person whose brain has learned to get dopamine from the blueprint instead of the building. There is a cost to this, and it would be dishonest to skip it. The fantasy still feels good. The first step still feels terrifying. The scroll still pays out faster than the dream, and understanding why this happens does not make it easy to stop. The reframe is not a magic fix. It is a lens, and what the lens shows you is that the gap between your ambition and your action is not a character flaw. It is a neurological mismatch that can be addressed, not with more self-criticism, but with better engineering. The word lazy has been the wall. The reframe is the door. You were not lazy. You were just rewarded for the wrong thing. And now that you know what the game is, now that you can see the two circuits running in parallel, the vision circuit and the action circuit, the fantasy reward and the real reward, you have a choice that you did not have before. You can keep building the life in your head, or you can build one line of it tonight. The ambition is real. The laziness is a neurological mirage, and that makes it bridgeable.